Okay, so now we're getting back into the second part of us talking in 1 Timothy 2 about a woman in the teaching position, as we're kind of getting all the background. So now let's dive into this a little bit more piece by piece. So when he talks about, I also want women to dress modestly with decency and propriety, not with braided hair or gold pearls or expensive clothes, but with good deeds appropriate for women who profess to worship God. Now, these women at this time were dressing for the festivals, to go to these temples and festivals for Artemis. And it was a show, it was flamboyant, it was to flaunt, it was also to show their wealth, it was seductive, it was broadcasting their commitment, their persuasion to follow Artemis. So this is what he's talking about. Do not follow what the world is doing. Do not follow after this goddess Artemis. So the principle here is to focus on your relationship with God. Do not allow the world to come in and influence your way of life. Don't let it influence how you dress, how you talk, how you interact. You are to be set apart. Do not follow the ways of the world. This is the principle he's setting. So to focus on your beauty comes from that inner beauty, your good deeds, that are appropriate for women who profess to worship God. So follow in that. Don't go after this other stuff that is a scandalous thing, to live as one that was following this goddess. And that braided hair, that was also a changing of the times. They used to have veiled hair, but now it's becoming braided. And again, it was in the symbolic act of following Artemis. So don't copy the trends and fads of the world to find your beauty. Your beauty is to be found in Christ. This is the principle that he's talking about in 9 and 10. Now, continuing in verse 11, a woman should learn in quietness and full submission. So this word is used right before that in what we talked about the other day in verse 2, peaceful and quiet lives, except that this is the feminine form of that word. So the word is in chapter 2:2 is peaceful, it's composed, to avoid flamboyancy, to be still. The quiet in that same passage is undisturbed, still, not stirring up destructive commotion, is quietness, and that is not silence, which is what is misconceived in this verse. So it's this word, mysticsia, I cannot say that, but it is quietness implying calm for the believer. God produced calm that supports appropriate action, not speechlessness. Its abstaining from bustle or argumentative spirit is marked by calm that avoids disturbance and is an active, disciplined posture. So this is what that he's talking about. A woman should learn in quietness and full submission. Now add another layer to this. And in using this understanding, when you put everything together in the Greek, it is let a woman be discipled and learn in peace without her being disturbed. That's totally different understanding. So let her learn in this quietness. Let her learn in this calm state. Don't disturb her. Let her actually learn in this way. But it's also twofold in that, one, let her learn in this way of not being disturbed, but also that she not become a disturbance, and that she is understanding that she comes under authority and that she is submissive to that authority, to those that are leaders that are ordained over her, that she comes under that authority. She is just as we talked about in Ephesians, that a husband is the head of the household and the woman comes alongside of him, underneath of him. She submits to him. Well, it's in that same understanding that you submit, because again, there's that usurping of authority that was taking place. And when he says, I do not permit a woman to teach or have authority over a man, she must be silent. That word there in authority, the Greek here is authentio, which is authority to act of oneself, to dominate, usurp, to self-appoint. So these women were trying to be teachers without being ordained. So he is saying you cannot have a woman teach without the proper authority having been given, that they cannot teach without authority, without the ordination, without being placed correctly under leadership. And until that happens, she is to remain silent. She cannot be able to teach unless things are in the proper order and she is ordained and authorized to teach. Because again, Timothy had women that taught him. His mother and his grandmother taught him. Eunice and Lois taught him. So it is not that they weren't supposed to teach, but they were to teach within the right authority. For Adam was formed first, then Eve, and Adam was not the one deceived. It was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner. So she entered into, in the Greek is she entered into the transgression. She crossed the line and violated the boundaries, is what that word means. She was hoodwinked. But Adam was the one who actually sinned. He fell into what she did. He followed her lead. He's the one who sinned. And because he sinned, she then also became a sinner. She fell into the sin with him. But women will be saved through childbearing if they continue in faith, love, and holiness with propriety. That propriety, I'll get to that. But women will be saved. That word to save there is to be made whole, to be complete, to feel a sense of purpose. And she is saved, she's made whole through child rearing, childbearing, to be a mother. That is how God made her. He made her to be a mother, to be a mother of life, to give life. This is the whole reason why my Shava maid is mother of life, is one who is made to give life. And that is exactly why he's saying, but Artemis was saying you must be celibate. You have to be independent of a man. But he's saying you're going to find your wholeness and your purpose and be healed through being a mother. Now, whether that's a mother in the sense of a biological child, or it's through an adoption or spiritual, but whatever that looks like, it's still your role is to be a mother. That's what God has put inside of us. And I love this last part as we close this out, because I think it's funny. If they continue in faith, love, and holiness with propriety, and that word propriety is sanity, self-control, soundness of mind, balance, judgment, mind governed by truth, and a passion brought under control, salvation lived out. I think it's funny because it's like the one thing that mothers struggle with is sanity, especially when you have so many kids, and it just feels like it's chaos. But he says, if you will continue in your faith and your love and holiness and your sanity or your self-control, where you are governed by truth and not by your passionate emotions, because that is something we deal with. But if you don't let that overrule you, you control it, just like we've talked about before, that sin is scratching at your door, you must master it. That's the same thing that he was telling Eve. You can control this. This desire to lord over your husband, to usurp that authority. So when you get it all in check, then you will find that wholeness and healing, and you will be saved in that role as a mother. And whatever, like I said, if it's biological, spiritual, or an adoptive, whatever that looks like, that is where you will find wholeness and peace, and you can live a quiet life in the right submission and authority. So there's a lot for this one. I hope it helps to bring some clarity and understanding. So stay tuned as we dive into chapter 3 next time.